Okay, so get this. We're diving deep into the world of wholesale merchants in hides, skins, and leather products today.
Wow.
You sent over some really fascinating material about this career path.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. It's a real blend of like business smarts, you know what I mean? And global connections, that's for sure.
For sure. So we're talking about the folks who are, I don't know, they're like the lifeblood of the whole leather goods supply chain, right?
Yeah.
It's not just buying and selling. It's about really understanding the market and then also building these like really crucial relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagining.
They're the ones who
Go ahead.
they're the ones who can spot a trend like way before it hits, like on the runway or anything like that. Like they know that if there's going to be a sudden demand for like ostrich leather handbags in Milan,
Oh, wow.
that could mean a mad scramble for hides in a totally different part of the world.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. The stuff you sent over, it describes the role as like connecting buyers and suppliers, and then also managing like huge, large quantities of leather products.
Right.
But it's got to be more than just matchmaking, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. You get a delay in a shipment of calf skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coming from, say, Italy,
Okay.
that could mean that a luxury car manufacturer in Germany
Oh.
misses their entire production deadline.
Oh my gosh.
We're talking high stakes deals, and the ripple effects, they go across entire industries. It's crazy.
And that's where I'm guessing the whole deft negotiation thing
Yep.
comes in, right?
Exactly.
Because it's not just about getting like the best price. It's about
Yeah.
navigating those complexities, understanding all those cultural nuances.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like building trust across continents, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Think about the market knowledge that's involved, right? Like,
Yeah.
you got to know the difference between hides that are used for furniture
Right,
versus
right.
the ones that are going to end up on like a high-end fashion, jacket or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a niche field, but the implications are global.
Yeah. So we're talking about a career that is both like incredibly specialized, but also surprisingly far-reaching, right?
Exactly.
And from the looks of this material, not for the faint of heart.
It's not an easy job, that's for sure.
Definitely not. But for those who thrive on a challenge, I mean, this could be it.
This could be the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of challenges, right? Let's get into like the day-to-day of this whole thing,
Sure.
the actual work.
Yeah.
You got this list of like typical responsibilities here. And honestly,
Yeah.
it looks kind of like a roller coaster ride,
It is. It is.
even at the entry level.
That's a great way to put it. It's not like you're just, making copies and getting coffee. Like,
Right.
even early on, they kind of throw you in the deep end. You're researching buyers, suppliers. You got to get a feel for like the global market, all that stuff.
Well, I noticed this too, preparing trade documents.
Oh, yeah.
That's like right off the bat. And that sounds to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but that sounds very detail-oriented.
Oh, 100%.
Almost like it's like the legal side of like high-stakes fashion or something.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Those documents, they're not just like a formality.
Right.
Those are crucial. We're talking making sure those transactions go smoothly,
Yeah.
making sure everything's complying with like all the crazy international trade regulations.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, it's all about accuracy, attention to detail right from day one.
Okay, so let's say you've got that, you've mastered the paperwork, you're starting to understand like how this whole global market works, and boom, you are officially a junior wholesale merchant.
Right.
What changes at that point?
So this is where you really start like flexing those analytical muscles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're conducting all this market research. You got to identify like what are the emerging trends? You got to anticipate those shifts in demand.
Right.
Remember that ostrich leather thing we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You have to develop that like sixth sense almost
Wow.
for what's going to be like the next big thing.
And I'm guessing at that point, that's when those fluctuating market conditions, right,
Oh, tell me about it.
that we were talking about, those become very, very real. Right?
Wow.
It's not just about like knowing what the price of leather is today, right?
Yeah.
It's about like forecasting. Where's it going to be in 6 months, a year, even longer potentially, right?
Exactly. You have to become like this strategic mastermind almost.
Right.
You're analyzing data, you're looking at like global events, trying to advise your company on how to, ride those waves
Oh, wow.
and maximize profits, even when the market's doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Talk about a crash course in like actual business.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't stop there.
It never stops.
Because then comes, like, I don't know, that this is the exciting part to me, becoming like a seasoned mid-level wholesale merchant.
Right, yeah.
This is it. This is the big leagues, right?
This is where all those years of like building relationships, it really starts to pay off. You know,
Right.
you've got your Rolodex, client suppliers on speed dial.
Yeah.
You're leading market research. You're the one calling the shots on these like really complex trade deals.
Oh, I bet. And I imagine this is where that social perceptiveness, which we see here on this list,
Oh, yeah.
you list that as a key skill. And honestly,
Absolutely.
even more important than I would have thought going into this.
Right. And for good reason. It's because like at this level, you're not just, doing transactions.
Right.
You're building these long-term partnerships,
I see.
You got to be able to read people, understand what makes them tick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Build that trust across sometimes totally different cultures. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like being like a diplomat, but in the world of like high fashion.
100%. 100%.
I love that. Speaking of which, the guide mentions knowledge of the structure and content of the native language.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which it makes sense, but I don't think it's something that people would necessarily think about right away.
It's one of those things you don't realize until it's too late. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like all it takes is one little misunderstanding, right? And like a high pressure negotiation
Oh, yeah?
could be the difference between, a killer deal
Right.
and a total disaster, a costly mistake,
Wow.
And it's not just about the words themselves. It's about, like you're saying, building that rapport.
Right.
Understanding all those cultural nuances. It really comes down to clear, effective communication,
Yeah, and that's where, like, organizations, for example, like the CFA Institute come in, right?
Yeah.
Because they offer, like, those specialized certifications
Yep.
in, like, commodity trading, which, I mean, that's got to be huge in this kind of field.
Oh, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's like getting a master class
Right.
in navigating, like, the entire global marketplace.
100%. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Right.
But, I mean, let's be real, right?
Oh,
All
yeah.
this expertise, it doesn't come for free.
Right. Right.
Let's talk about the upsides.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially for someone who, from what I'm hearing, sounds driven like you. So, okay, we talked about the skills, the challenges, the global connections, all that, right?
Right.
But for someone who is, driven by success, like, what are the real rewards here of, like, diving into this world of hides, skins, leather products, all of that,
Well, I mean, the guide does mention, like, straight up, the potential for high income, which
Of course, yeah.
that's got to be a draw for a lot of people.
Right.
But it goes beyond that, Like, imagine closing that major deal
Yeah.
that keeps a whole factory running, or even just sourcing, like, the absolute perfect leather that ends up, like, on a runway in Paris or something,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like you're at the intersection of, like, business and then also fashion and then global trade all at once,
It's wild.
That's amazing. And it seems like from this material, at least, there's no shortage of opportunities for, like, travel, networking, all of that. We're talking about, like, building relationships with tanneries, I don't know, in Argentina,
Yeah, yeah.
attending fashion shows in Milan.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Maybe even like negotiating a deal
Oh, yeah.
over tea in some bustling market somewhere like Dhaka.
100%. This is not like a desk job. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
It's dynamic, it's fast-paced,
I love it.
and it gives you, like, a level of autonomy that I think a lot of people would find really, really rewarding.
Totally, totally. But let's be real,
Right.
No career is like perfect. Sunshine and rainbows, the guide mentions, high levels of competition
Right.
as a potential kind of drawback, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's got to be pretty intense, right?
It's not for everyone, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It definitely attracts a certain, personality type.
Right.
Someone who's like thrives under pressure, someone who enjoys like the thrill of a negotiation.
Right.
Someone who always wants to be, one step ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
But that being said, I think that competitive landscape, it also breeds like a lot of innovation
Oh, interesting.
and excellence, right? So forces everyone to kind of up their game.
So it's almost like it pushes everybody forward.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. It's like a sink or swim kind of thing, but I feel like for the right person, it's got to be exhilarating.
Oh, totally, totally. If you're, if this sounds up your alley, then it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last but not least, where does someone even start? Like, how do you even begin this journey to becoming this, like, wholesale merchant in hides, skins, and leather products, all this stuff?
Well, the guide actually has some really good advice, which is, start with internships, entry-level positions,
Yeah.
wholesale companies, international trade companies, whatever you can find.
Gotcha.
Get your foot in the door,
Yeah.
learn the ropes,
Yeah.
soak up all that knowledge. That's key.
Makes sense. So it's all about building those skills,
Yep.
making those connections early on.
Exactly.
And don't underestimate, like, the power of networking, right?
Wow, huge.
Because the guide even mentions that, like, attending these industry events,
Oh, yeah.
connecting with people, I don't know, on LinkedIn, whatever it is.
100% got to put yourself out there, right?
Sweet.
Build those relationships. That's everything.
So important. And while you're doing that, right,
Yeah.
take advantage of all those external resources that are mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this list. We've got the World Trade Organization, for example.
Great resource.
They've got tons of info on trade policies, regulations.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you've got like the CFA Institute. They can give you a lot of really good insight into commodity trading.
It's like having like a roadmap almost
That's
to
right.
navigate this whole complex world. It's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's essential.
We've covered so much today, from like all the details of global trade to like the art of, closing a deal,
It's a lot.
negotiation. But one thing that I keep coming back to
Yeah.
is this idea of ethical sourcing, which you sent me a lot of material about.
Right.
And it seems like that's becoming like a really big deal.
Oh, yeah. More and more
Well,
these
the industry as a whole, right?
consumers are like way more aware now of,
Right.
the impact of their choices,
Totally.
environment, social impact, all of that.
It's like people are really paying attention to where things come from these days.
Exactly. Exactly. So that puts a lot of pressure on, companies to be
Right.
more transparent,
Of course.
sustainable, all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where, as a future wholesale merchant,
Right.
you can really, I think, make a difference here
Absolutely.
by, understanding those complexities.
Yeah. Got to know the supply chain inside in.
Right, exactly.
Advocate for those ethical practices. Partner with, suppliers that are doing things the right way.
Exactly.
You can make a huge difference.
It's almost like it's going beyond just, the business itself.
Yeah, totally.
And it's about, the ethics behind it, which is fantastic.
100%. It's about, looking past just the bottom line,
Right.
thinking about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
what kind of impact are your decisions having on the world?
That's amazing.
That's the future of the industry right there, It's these individuals who are willing to kind of ask those tough questions,
Right.
challenge things, and really be a force for good.
I love that. That's a really great point to end on.
Thanks.
So to our listener out there, if you're ready to take on a career that is, let's be honest, as challenging as it is rewarding.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about, global trade, if you've got an eye for, those finer things in life,
Oh, yeah.
this could be it. This could be the path for you.
It very well could be.
Keep learning, stay curious.
Absolutely.
And who knows, right?
Yeah,
You might be the next big name
that's right.
in the world of hides, skins, and leather products.
Ooh, couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.